Thank you. Everyone, welcome to the November 4th Transportation Infrastructure and Innovation Subcommittee. I'm calling the meeting to order. Do we have call from the public now?
Well, we can take it now or at the end of the meeting, Chairwoman.
Let's do it at the end of the meeting. On the agenda is the minutes of the meeting of October 7th. Do I have corrections, amendments, or motion?
I have a motion to move the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have consent items 2 through 8. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I think we have. Councilwoman Pastor, do you have?
No.
Okay.
We have one member of the public, Chairwoman, on item number 3.
Okay.
And
Please call on.
that would be Vivian Lavely. Ms. Lavely, are you on the line?
Hello?
Ms. Lavely, we can hear you if you'd like to make your comment.
Is she still on the line? We can't hear her.
I'm sorry, she's no longer on the line.
Okay. Councilwoman Pastor, did you have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to move all the consent items.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Consent passes unanimously. The next items are for discussion. Does anyone have any questions?
Item
10 or 11? Uh, 12?
I'm just happy that we got 12.
Oh, I know. And we have, I'd like to hear the pedestrian safety program, item 14. We have staff do a presentation.
Madam Chair, we do have staff here that can speak to item 14. We don't have a presentation planned for this item this morning on pedestrian safety. Keeney Knudsen is here and can give an overview of the program.
Okay, that'll do.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Let me flip through the report here and get to the right section here. The reason why we wanted to be able to provide this update on pedestrian safety is really twofold. One is to talk about some of the data points that we had seen with the pedestrian safety program. Council has been very supportive in setting up the Office of Pedestrian Safety and funding that for the Street Transportation Department. And so we wanted to be able to provide some data that we had seen, even though we see a large trend nationwide, but also in Arizona and Phoenix, in pedestrian safety incidents and fatalities, serious injuries and fatalities. But we have seen actually, the good news is that over the last couple of years, 2018 was our high data point for injuries and fatalities. But we have seen reductions in 2019 and so far this year in 2020, and those are informal numbers. We have 2019 data is not quite made official yet. That takes a while to go through and truth all the data as part of that. So 2018 is an official number that we have for there, but 2020, we have seen a decrease year over year from January through current between 2019 and 2020. So we're hopeful that that trend, whether it's the investment we've made in pedestrian safety or behavioral trends, we have a lot of different things we're doing both on engineering, education, and evaluation of pedestrian incidents, and we work in partnership with the police department on enforcement as well. We hope that those are having an impact for the positive. We also had included in the report information about how we have spent on projects and programs that the funding we had for last fiscal year 2020, the $2 million. It was the first year we had allocated by council for dedicated for pedestrian safety. So the report does contain information in there. We did manage to do a lot of work in design and construction of hawk signals. We have some projects where we're adding in the street lighting on this opposite side of the roadway, as we've talked about with the subcommittee before. The previous way we had a design of our streets going back decades, we only had street lighting on one side. So one thing we've seen is to be able to help out with pedestrian safety is to be able to have a second-sided lighting for the other side of the roadway. We also have upgraded side crosswalks that we've been able to do through that. We also funded the Spanish translation of our pedestrian safety activity book, and also curriculum to be able to work with the schools on teaching that that activity safety book as well. So there's a lot of things we did last fiscal year, and this coming fiscal year is more of the same in our plan for using the $2 million. More work on crossing signals and also pedestrian median refuge islands in the middle of the roadway to be able to help provide respite when people are crossing the street. But we also have more street light projects to be able to add lighting on the second side of the roadway, and then upgraded crosswalks. And then we also have some public service announcement and videos that we plan to do as well to be able to include on the education side of the equation. So that kind of gives a rundown of what the report was and what we were planning to provide and as information. But be happy to more than happy to answer any questions that you, Madam Chair, or the members of the subcommittee have about the pedestrian safety program.
Keeney, this is Mario. Councilwoman Pastor pointed out the build grant, item 12, and that she's pleased to see that on there, and we are too. Can you just give an update on how that ties into the pedestrian safety, because that being a real hot spot area for the city?
Absolutely. Thanks, Mario. And Councilwoman Pastor and Vice Mayor Guardado, this runs right through the heart of your district, 35th Avenue. The build grant we were able to receive from the Department of Transportation, $17.4 million from the federal government. And that project has many facets to it, but the main reason we chose that corridor because it is smack dab in the middle of a pedestrian hotspot for serious injuries and fatalities for pedestrians. And so that is one impetus for us to be able to put that build grant application in. But in addition to pedestrian safety improvements, which are going to be upgraded signals, median islands, adding in street lighting on the second side of the street on 35th Avenue, we also have technology improvements that are going to be able to allow our signals to talk to each other better, as well as other connectivity things that are going to help spur some economic development along the corridor. So we know that corridor is heavy with the young population, including a lot of schools. And so we know that there's reasons why this is a pedestrian safety hotspot area. And so we want to, this project, it'll combined with our local match, which is about $7 or $8 million. We have $25 million that's going to be invested in this corridor. We're anticipating design in 2021 and construction starting, I think, in 22 or 2023.
Katie?
Yes.
Or Madam Chair, is it possible for the next transportation infrastructure to do a presentation as to what we have, like an actual presentation on the pedestrian safety program and where we're all putting in the safety pieces?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, yes, we
Yes.
can. Sorry. We have that information, and we can definitely provide a map and showing where those, I mean, we've done that before when we've done pedestrian safety updates, and so we could definitely come back and provide that similar update showing mapping where our improvements are going in relation to the hotspot areas. we're more than happy to come and do that.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Madam Chair, sorry, step forward. I think it's very important to demonstrate that because that is one of our hottest pieces of pedestrian safety. And I have the several advocates asking me what we're doing. And so I think it's very important. The same with the bike lanes. So I don't know if you can overlay it, like showing how we're slowing down traffic. Not slowing down traffic, but you know, what we're doing to provide safety all the way around.
Absolutely, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, we can provide that information as well, and add that element to it too, because that is part of our accelerated pavement maintenance program and some of the maintenance projects we're doing when we're restriping roadways, we're narrowing travel lanes. Where we have bike lanes, we're using buffers to be able to provide that narrowing, and we hope our intention is that provides that traffic calming, that traffic mitigation, which will bring down the speeds of the roadway. But we can definitely include that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, we will go to item 15.
Thank you.
It's one we've waited for a while. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Madam Chair and
It's
members
the
of the...
light rail small business. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Chairwoman Williams and members of the subcommittee. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here for this item. It's a nice item that staff is very excited to present. We have been working with the businesses along the light rail corridors for an extensive amount of time. And particularly when it comes to business assistance, we have been exploring to see if there is a way to provide financial assistance, which is something that has not happened before with the City of Phoenix light rail project or any of the light rail projects throughout our region. There has not been any type of business financial assistance like what we're presenting today. We've worked extensively with the business communities along those light rail corridors. An individual by the name of Salvador Reza, a lot of you know who he is, a community activist who is assisting many of the small businesses on the South Central Corridor, has been very involved, and we've been working with him for some time as well. And we took this item to our Citizens Transportation Commission a couple of weeks ago, and got a full unanimous support there. Salvador Reza and other members of the business community were able to attend that meeting. We don't have them on the call this morning, but in that meeting they expressed support to move forward. One thing I do want to acknowledge is that the level of financial assistance, ultimately it's not a lot of money for the businesses, and we acknowledge that, we realize that, but with the resources that are available, we do want to make those available to the community, to those businesses as soon as we can, while we are still working to identify additional funding. I want to thank Councilwoman Pastor for assisting with this effort to garner additional financial support. We very much appreciate her passion and her work for the businesses along those lines. And so I'm going to turn it over to Marcus Coleman for a presentation on exactly what the pilot program is that we're presenting. It is for action today, and I'll turn it over to Marcus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, as Mario stated, we have several different businesses that we've worked with through the process of doing our business assistance throughout the South Central and Northwest Extension Phase 2 project. One thing that I would like to also mention is I've been contacted by a few of those businesses directly that just weren't able to get registered in time to be on the call today. One of them being Central Tires. This is really in the heart of some of our construction south of Lincoln right now at Central and Southern, and another one being Butas Juarez. Hilda called, and she was able to attend the CTC meeting, was unable to attend today, but really wanted to show her support and express her support for the item. And her business is located at Central and Broadway. With that, I'll jump into the presentation. As Mario brought to you, we're really at a unique opportunity here to do something that we've never been able to do on any of our other light rail extensions to date. With this pilot, the goal of this pilot is really to assist businesses and to assist in the retention of current businesses that are existing along our South Central and Northwest Extension light rail, and kind of offset, well, not kind of, but offset some of the financial impacts and help mitigate the construction impacts to those businesses that are directly along those alignments. The small business pilot program is a pilot program for 1 year. After the 1 year period, we will reevaluate the project, the pilot, and if it is successful, then we would like to extend it for the entire construction period for the Northwest and South Central Extension project. We provide financial assistance to locally owned small and micro businesses, so we're really trying to focus on the mom and pop businesses along those corridors, making sure that the money is getting to the individuals in those businesses that are most at need along those corridors as well. The project was conceived through several different processes. We've met with local businesses and local owners. They requested financial assistance. I think that's been our #1 request that we receive from businesses, along with technical support. City of Phoenix, along with our partners at Valley Metro, we've looked at other light rail projects in major cities such as Los Angeles and Minneapolis, and able to look at some of the things that they've been able to do there and success of some of their business assistance programs that they have. We've also reached out for business assistance coordinators that we've done throughout the process with other projects, feedback during other light rail projects within the City of Phoenix, such as our CPEV, and also for our Northwest Extension Phase 1. We talked to business owners and got input and recommendation from them directly. A lot of that information came through our TOD process. As you recall, about 1.5 ago to 2 years ago, we started a process through our TOD grant that we were able to receive from the FTA that allowed us to really go out and do some early action business assistance along our South Central corridor, and we're able to work with Valley Metro to do some of those same strategies along our Northwest Extension Phase 2, and this is one of the things that came out of that, is the need for this type of program. And so when we looked at a pilot program of this nature, we really wanted to make sure that the money is getting to those, like I said, most vulnerable businesses and those smaller businesses that are on the fringe. And so some of the requirements that the business must be located directly or accessed directly from the alignment. It must be locally owned, have 15 or fewer employees to make sure that we're really serving those small and those micro businesses, and then must perform $500,000 in annual revenue or less. We felt that this would really make sure that the money is being funneled to those businesses that are most in need, and not really focus so much on the larger businesses, businesses that have multiple locations, things of that nature. And then another thing, as we look at the continued eligibility of the businesses, is the businesses must conduct their business directly with customers and have those transactions happen directly on the corridor. We know that there are some businesses that are located along both corridors that maybe they were just a warehouse location, or maybe they do not sell to the public, the general public. They distribute to a retailer, and so we want to make sure that the dollars that we do have, because they're very limited dollars, that those are going to businesses that really depend on that traffic that's being impacted by construction along those corridors. The businesses will be eligible to use these funds, if approved, for operational costs, utilities, rent and mortgage, insurance, other types of operational costs that are associated with a business being located in the corridor and being able to stay open and keep those doors open through this construction period. Fortunately for the City of Phoenix, we've been able to receive a grant from PCDIC in the amount of $500,000. The reason why this is really critical to this program, to this pilot program, is because this amount of funding, while not a huge amount of funding, it does allow us to have a little bit more flexibility opposed to the funding that we have through our T2050 funding, because of it being a grant fund. So the way that we've looked at this is we have 2 tiers. So businesses must apply Tier 1 is $1,000. The $1,000 tier would allow for any business that's located along the corridor, or that is located along the South Central alignment or has direct access from the South Central alignment or Northwest Extension Phase 2 alignment to apply for the $1,000. We really wanted to make sure that we have a program that would allow for individuals that didn't have sophisticated accounting systems or that have robust record keeping to still be able to participate in the pilot and be able to receive some financial relief. And so with the Tier 1, we're able to use those PCDIC fund for Tier 1. Because there is no requirement for financial records of, at that tier. For Tier 2, which is up to $5,000, with that one, the business would not only have to meet the Tier 1 requirements of being located along the alignment or have access directly from the alignment, but the business would also need to show that they have a financial impact that's taking place due to construction of the light rail project. And so that would be up to $5,000 that would be offered on an annual basis when they apply. And so with that, staff is requesting that the TI&I subcommittee recommend to City Council approval to work with Valley Metro on a proposed small business financial assistance program pilot and to accept the $500,000 grant funding from PCDIC.
Does anyone have questions?
Chairwoman,
Yeah.
I am.
Councilwoman Stark.
Deborah. Thank you. I want to applaud this program. I think this will be very useful and helpful for those businesses along the light rail. Just a quick question. Have you started talking to all the businesses? I didn't catch that. The sound's been kind of bad, I'm sorry, but have you been reaching out already, and how's it looking?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we have talked to the businesses as far as the need for a pilot program such as this. We have not spoken to all the individual businesses about this program or this pilot being approved. We wanted to make sure that we went through the formal process before getting individuals' hopes up. We have talked to some individuals such as the PCDIC who are willing to participate in the program. We've also have conversations through Valley Metro with Southwest with SRP and APS to garner their participation in the program as well. And we're really trying our best to make sure that we have a pilot program that is, kind of been vetted out and ready to go before we start to communicate it out to the community, because we know that this will be something that they're definitely going to want to take advantage of and participate in.
And if I can just add, Councilwoman Stark, there have been businesses that we've been working with kind of all along, and so those are the ones that are a little bit more active and involved. They know what's being presented today, and that this is working its way up through to the council. And so not all the businesses have been reached out to, but a good number of them are aware of the work we're doing on this.
Chair.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Congratulations on getting this up and off the ground. We still have a lot of work to do to raise, actually I would like to see to raise tier 1 higher and possibly tier 2 in the future. And so I probably will need all my colleagues sitting on the council or on this chair, on the committee, so that we could start calling possibly SRP and APS and the businesses the companies that they have called already to work with them and seeing if we can get some additional dollars. I also would like staff, and I'm not sure how it works, but to reach out to the Maricopa IDA and work with those, that Supervisor Gallardo is the representative of that area, and work with his office on trying to get additional dollars from the Maricopa IDA. Those are just some suggestions. excited about this. My really, I don't know, fourth or fifth question is that, did some of these companies or small business qualify for COVID relief?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, yes, some of these businesses did qualify for COVID relief through a member of our team, Winsome Benjamin. She is our TOD grant manager and business assistance coordinator for the City of Phoenix. She's worked very closely with our partners at Valley Metro and our partners in CED to make sure that some of these opportunities were sent throughout the corridors, not only South Central, but Northwest Extension Phase 2 as well. Actually, there were a few applications that were produced only in English, and we were able to work with Valley Metro and others to produce those applications in Spanish as well, and really try to funnel that information out, making sure that those businesses are helped from a holistic approach.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Thank you for that work.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Councilwoman Pastor, I'm sure you have a motion.
I'd like to move item 15, light rail small business financial assistance program pilot.
And I will second.
Great. I'm very glad staff got this together. I'm looking forward for it to get through council and get out and get relief to some of those businesses. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Who's opposed? Anyone? Passes unanimously.
Thank you so
Takes
much.
us to downtown.
Thank
You're
you. I'll
welcome.
get
Thank
back to
you.
work on this.
So item
Next is-
16, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say item 16 is the resurrected scooter program. Do you want to give us a quick briefing on that?
Yes, Keeney Knutson, Street Transportation Director, is here along with Brianna Valles, Assistant Street Transportation Director, to talk about that resurrection.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. Here to talk about the 6-month pilot program. I'm going to give you an update on the e-scooter pilot program in downtown Phoenix. And Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, we're very happy to provide you that update. We would have liked to have provided this update a few months ago, but the scooter program, much like that update, and a lot of other things have been impacted by COVID. But today I have Brianna Velez, our Assistant Director, Street Transportation Director, and Acting City Engineer, who will take you through most of the presentation. But just as a reminder, we were last time we were in front of the subcommittee talking about this program, we were in January of 2020 providing an update on the 3-month, into the first 3 months of the 6-month pilot program. And then we returned back in February of this year and requested your recommendation to get council approval on extending the pilot program for another 6 months, as well as some other changes to city code. So just a quick overview of the program. Just to get everybody mindset there, is it was initially a 6-month pilot program, and you can see on the right-hand side we have the downtown area where it's bounded by on the east and west, on mainly on 7th Avenue and 7th Street, Buckeye Road on the south end, and then on the north end we have Roosevelt, Portland, and McDowell being the boundaries. Within that boundary area we also have some no-ride zones around parks and ASU downtown campus, the convention center. So there was definitely some areas in there that bounded where people could use the scooters. At the beginning, we issued 3 permits to Spin, Bird, and Lime initially, and that all started back in September of last year, and that 6-month pilot expired on March 16th of 2020. You see the map that shows those boundary limits, and we do have no ride zones as well. And we also have those parking locations that were unique to what we did in making sure that people were beginning their rides and ending their rides within the designated parking location areas. We also mentioned sidewalk riding being prohibited, and I know we'll talk a little more about sidewalk riding when we talk about some of the results of the 6-month pilot. I know that's near and dear to Councilwoman Pastor's heart as well. And then I also wanted to mention that we had a 6-month pilot extension, and that was impacted by COVID. That 6-month pilot extension was supposed to start in March and wrap up in September, but we're going to let you know where we stand with the extension of that program and how it's working now. So I'm going to turn it over to Brianna to take you through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Keeney. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of this subcommittee. At the launch of the pilot program, each vendor was authorized to deploy a maximum of 300 scooters each per day for a total of 900 scooters. Bird launched 50, Lime launched 150, and Spin the full 300. After the first week, Bird removed their scooters and decided not to continue with the pilot program. After concerns from the community about availability of scooters in certain areas, in late November, the city did authorize the 2 remaining vendors to increase their fleet up to 450 each. In January 2020, Lime decided to not continue operations in the Phoenix area and remove their scooters. So in February, the remaining vendor was authorized to deploy the full 900 scooters. As part of the program requirements, vendors were required to provide monthly data on the number of daily trips, average ride time and distance, number of scooter trips, and number of scooters deployed. Based on the 6-month data, the program has averaged approximately 4,000 trips per week, with an average of 1.4 trips per scooter per day. The average scooter trip duration is 7 minutes, and an average distance of 1.5 miles per trip. Under the permits, vendors were charged a fee for violating requirements associated with the nightly pickup and scooter relocations. Vendors were required to pick up the scooters nightly by midnight, and any scooters not picked up were impounded and assessed a fee. However, in January 2020, the city rescinded the nightly removal requirement and allowed the scooters to remain parked in the designated parking locations as long as they were deactivated from midnight to 5 a.m. Vendors were also required to relocate improperly parked or discarded scooters within 2 hours of being notified. If the scooter was not relocated within 2 hours, the scooter was collected and a fee was assessed. The city contracted with the scooter retrieval company, Sweep, to monitor, report, and correct any vendor violations and was available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Sweep has recorded a total of 308 violations during the 6-month pilot program, with 2 for Bird, 244 for Lime, and 62 for Spin. The proposed program fees were intended to recover the cost of administering the program. The fees include a $500 application fee and a $5,000 permit fee, which totaled $16,500 for the 3 vendors. Vendors were also required to pay a 10-cent surcharge fee for every trip, and the vendors have paid a little over $10,000 for the initial 6-month pilot program. The violation fee was $80, and the 308 violations resulted in $24,640. As part of the permit requirements, the vendors were required to reimburse the city for installing the 400 designated parking locations. The amount was approximately $61,000 for material and labor, and the 2 vendors each paid 1/3 of the cost. The remaining 1/3 was collected by the new vendor in phase 2 of the pilot program. The city staff associated with administering the program for the 6 months has been about $38,000, and the contract with Sweep was approximately $45,000. So the total revenue collected was $51,288, and the total cost to administer the program for the 6 months was close to $83,000. Staff established a dedicated email account, phone number, and webpage to collect comments and address any concerns. We only received 30 emails or phone calls during the initial 6 months, with the top 3 issues being improper scooter parking, abandoned scooters, and riding on the sidewalk. Some of the observations noted from the 6-month pilot were that the usage of the scooters was evidence of a shared micromobility demand, and that riders quickly adapted to the unique designated parking locations. Some of the challenges were the tolerance of the commercial-grade GPS and issues with detecting no-ride zones, ending rides at designated parking locations, and program boundaries. As noted in the previous slide, the pilot program fees did not recover the cost of administering the program. The other challenge was unexpected pauses and vendors leaving the pilot program prior to the 6-month completion. There have been 5 reported scooter-related incidents. None of them involved a motor vehicle, and there have been no serious injuries with all of the incidents. Staff has been very effective. Some of the 6-month conclusions were staff has been very effective in administering the pilot program. Overall, the feedback has been favorable from the public. The vendors are reporting encouraging ridership numbers. With the pilot program extension, there is a potential for program refinements and further evaluation, such as challenges with sidewalk riding and how to get users to comply and how to enforce it, evaluation of the fees to be cost recovery, and possible contract modifications associated with the scooter retrieval services. The additional 6-month pilot will help form recommendations on a permanent program. In February 2020, City Council approved the extension of the pilot program for an additional 6 months. With the extension, the city opened up the application for new vendors. Razor and Spin expressed interest in applying for the new program and submitted applications. The extension of the pilot was scheduled to seamlessly begin on March 16th, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the extension of the pilot was paused and all scooters were removed. And we worked closely with the vendors on a more feasible start date. Staff issued 6-month permits to Razor and Spin in October and officially started the program on October 1st. Both vendors have deployed approximately 100 scooters thus far and will increase their fleet based on ridership demand. So what are the next steps? The next steps include a request to City Council to extend the city code to allow shared electric scooters to operate on public streets until December 2021. Continue to administer the program, including further evaluation and community input. Publish the survey and summary report for the initial 6-month pilot program. Draft final recommendations for a permanent shared micromobility program. And the second phase of the pilot is currently scheduled to expire on March 31st, 2021. And with that, Kenny and I are happy to address any questions.
Do we have questions?
Madam Chair, I have questions. It's Councilwoman Pelcher.
Councilwoman?
Brianna, can you move one slide back? When you say extend the city code to allow electric scooters to operate until December 2021, explain that to me.
So when we initially started this program, there was an ordinance that didn't allow electric scooters to operate on city streets. And so as part of the pilot program, we had to modify the ordinance, and there was a clause that it would expire within 1 year. We came back and we were able to extend it an additional 6 months that allowed the shared electric scooters to operate on city streets. And so we would be coming back. The thought of December 2021 versus maybe the summer is that with COVID-19, we don't know if there are going to be other unexpected pauses. And so we just want to make sure we have enough time for staff to effectively evaluate the second phase of the program and bring forward recommendations to City Council, in addition to be able to adjust to any unplanned pauses that may occur.
Understood. That makes sense. Because I was like, what does that mean? That makes sense. Now, I would also say I was probably one of those that have complained about the scooters, and it's not because they're scooters, but I almost got hit twice of a scooter on the sidewalk, just putting it on the record. And then I take pictures where there's a cluster of scooters and report. So I might be one of those reporters.
And we appreciate it, Council.
Today is just for information only. Does this go straight to council?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, for the city code, the request to extend the city code expiration for operating the scooters, that'll go straight to council. So we're working on that report right now. So we expect that to probably go in early December.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? Hearing none, thank you very much for the
Chairwoman,
information.
if I could step in here, I believe we do have one member of the public wishing to comment.
Oh, could you call on them, please?
Yes, Phuong Bui, are you on the line?
Yes. Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, thank you so much for the opportunity to provide public comment this morning on item 16. My name is Fong Bui, and I'm representing SPIN, one of the vendors participating in the city's e-scooter pilot program. I want to first start by thanking the Street Transportation Department for the great work that they've done in putting together the pilot and extending it, and making sure that all companies operating in Phoenix are held accountable on issues such as responsible riding and parking, access, and equity. And we're committed to doing our part at SPIN to expand mobility options while maximizing safety and minimizing clutter. And during the pilot, SPIN invested in city infrastructure by funding bollards and the striping of designated parking corrals. We were the first company to accurately and consistently geofence designated parking areas, as well as no ride zones. We're also committed to providing quality jobs with benefits in Phoenix. All of our employees here are in-house W-2 employees with living wages. And by rejecting a franchise and contractor workforce model, we're really able to provide our employees with benefits, training, and protections that ensure quality of service. And our team has been in regular communications with staff, as well as other stakeholders like the Phoenix Community Alliance, to continuously refine our operation and meet the needs of the community. And with new expectations during the COVID-19 pandemic to socially distance and expand outdoor dining, micromobility offers a sustainable and compact mode of transportation to aid in the economic recovery of local businesses in the city. And regarding the future, SPIN supports a permanent scooter program that limits the number of operators and puts a history of compliance and partnership with the city of Phoenix at its core. And with a proven track record of responsible operations in the city and employing employees, not independent contractors, that should be a prerequisite for participation. Anyways, thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to an innovative future in Phoenix.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support, your help. Look forward to going forward on this. Thank you. Do we have any other callers?
We do not, Chairwoman.
Okay. This is not posted for action today, so we can go on to the next item, which is the airport concession relief. This is the status report. When we did the rent relief, we asked them to come back and give us a report on how the airport is doing this time of year. It's not posted for action today.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, for that introduction. And here today to talk about this item and give the update is Charlene Reynolds, our interim aviation director, who just started in that role this week. And we're appreciative of her stepping up into that role, now wearing multiple hats. And I'll turn it over to Charlene for the presentation.
Thank you, Mario. Madam Chair and members of this subcommittee, I'm here today to provide an update on our concessions program. I like to start off my presentation by providing a review of previous council actions relative to our terminal concessions program. On June 3rd of this year, relief was granted in the form of waiving the minimum annual guarantee for the period of April 1st through June 30th of this year. Council took a secondary action on July 1st, providing an extension of the percentage rent relief through December 31st. And then lastly, on two separate actions on May 5th and August 26th, Council also approved the disbursement of $1 million of the city's CARES Act relief fund monies to small businesses at the airport. This program is administered by our Community and Economic Development Department. Enplanements drive every major decision that we make at the airport, and they are the key to the success of our concessions program. We started off very well. In January, we saw an increase over the previous year. Again, in February, we saw that same increase. However, in April of this year, we saw a 93% decrease in employments as only essential travel was taking place. Over the last 2 weeks, we have averaged around 50% as compared to last year. And taking a look at the numbers for yesterday, we were actually down 60% over the previous year. Currently, half of our checkpoints are closed. Checkpoints B and D, that closure has an impact on our pre-security concessions program, and most of those concessions remain closed. What we are also noticing at the airport, we have a change in passenger type. Pre-pandemic, we had a 75 to 25 split between leisure traveler to business traveler. And the reason why that is noteworthy, because typically our business class passengers have higher tickets per person. They also like to frequent our restaurants such as Chelsea's, the Tavern, driving more concession sales, while our leisure traveler tend to look for grab-and-go items and/or national brands such as McDonald's, Panda Express, and Wendy's, etc. Relative to employment, some believe that there is a one-to-one correlation between employment and our commercial spending habits within the terminals. However, of the 50% passengers that we are seeing, only 36% of those passengers actually visit our food and beverage restaurants, and only 25% of those passengers actually visit our retail locations. Since the pandemic, we have seen a drop in our average passenger spending. We had a pre-pandemic level or spending level of approximately $11.38. That has dropped $2 per passenger to $9.36 as of today. Currently, in our food and beverage program and retails, we have 65% of our concepts are closed in Terminal 3, 59% of our concepts in 65% of our concepts are closed in Terminal 3, and 59% of our concepts in Terminal 4 are closed. We do require that our concessionaires have at least 2 concepts open per concourse and 1 news and gift store open per concourse in order to serve our passengers. Our gross sales on the food and beverage side, as we can see here, a major dip of about 75%. Pre-pandemic, our average monthly sales were approximately $20 million. Our current monthly, $4 million. Services such as shoe shine, banking, spa services, and others have seen a drop from $900,000 monthly to a current sale of $280,000. Terminal advertising has also been impacted. Average monthly was $400,000 pre-pandemic, and today we see a post average monthly of $105,000. Other impacts of the pandemic, we've seen 50 of our terminal advertising contracts canceled. TravelX, which is our international currency provider, filed for bankruptcy within the U.S. market. Our duty-free store is closed until we see a significant increase in international travel. We have also seen major retailers such as Brooks Brothers and others close all of their airport locations until further notice. I want to spend a moment talking about our Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Enterprise program, because our local small business partners are the heart and soul of our concessions program. And so I want to illustrate some of the impacts to some of our local business partners. In Terminal 4, Panera, which is operated by Navasingam, his pre-pandemic average monthly total was $387,000. Currently, His sales are $125,000 per month. Refuge Coffee, operated by Kurt Magnum, pre-pandemic saw sales of approximately $100,000. Currently, half that amount at $59,000. Cervezas, operated by Gonzalo de la Minia, pre-pandemic, he enjoyed sales of $300,000 per month. Post-pandemic, he's averaging approximately $81,000. T4 Pete's Coffee, operated by Bruce Mosby, pre-pandemic, $460,000, and post-pandemic, $99,000, which is a drop of about 75%. Just wanted to provide this subcommittee an update on employment activity. HOST has furloughed 756 employees. So far, they have recalled 172. As of this report when it was written, I understand that they have recalled more employees. SSP has committed to recall all employees based upon seniority. Stellar furloughed 72. So far, they have recalled 25, 23 full-time, and 2 part-time. And Refuge Coffee has recalled all of their employees. We have also been monitoring what's happening within our industry relative to concession relief. At Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, rent relief has been provided until March of 2021. At Tampa International Airport, they have provided rent relief through September of 2021. Atlanta Airport has provided rent relief until June of 2021. Also, a term extension from 30 to 36 months, depending on the concept. And then George Bush International Airport, also known as Houston Airport, is providing rent relief through December of 2021, and they have also agreed to defer midterm investments for all concessionaires. Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, that concludes my update on our concessions program at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have questions, Council?
I have a question. Yeah, Shirley, can you go back to the 2 slides? I believe it's 2 slides over. Right there. No, right there. So when I read this, it looks like SSP hasn't recalled anybody.
Madam Chair, to Councilwoman Pastor, they have recalled some employees. I believe we have a representative from SSP on the line. And basically, this slide is based upon the information that staff received as we were building this report. So I believe their representative would be best to respond to that question.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, did you have a question? Go ahead.
I did. Well, actually, I had some comments first. And I also, looking at this slide that we're on right now, I think one of the reasons why I posted this before was because I thought it was an unbalanced deal. As a city, it is our job to make sure all the primes play by the same rules. I don't understand why is it that SSP America can commit to recall their employees back and HMS Hold hasn't done that. The employees that have given 20 to 30 to 40 years of service to the airport deserve the ability to return to work when business returns. This is a question of common decency. They did not cause this pandemic and they should not be punished for this. It's important to remember that before COVID, the airport concession companies had their best recorded business performance in the history of our airport. Of course, we still want to ensure the economy viability of concessions at our airport. Like, I love the airport. I'm very proud to be part of this subcommittee and being able to make sure that our airport thrives, but we also got to make sure that our workers are thriving at the same time. But how long are we going to continue to financially subsidize multinational corporations on the expense of Phoenix taxpayers? Especially when these international companies refuse to support Phoenix residents, asking for a commitment to return to work when business returns. If the locally owned small businesses need assistance, I believe that we can provide that to them. But I don't want to play this game again where these multinational corporations like HMS hosts hide behind our local businesses to keep shaking us down, the city of Phoenix, for more taxpayers funded bailouts. So one of my questions, Chair, is what is, and I don't know who this question goes to, what is the current status of the Prime's capital investment in the airport? And have they recouped those costs? That's my first question. And then also, why is it that HMSOs is not recalling workers back?
Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, and Vice Mayor, please correct me if I did not fully understand your question, because there was a lot of feedback. But I believe one of your questions was relative to capital investment within the terminal. And as I understand that in Terminal 4, there was approximately $40 million in capital investment at the start of the program. All our concessionaires have to commit to a midterm refurbishment on the food and beverage side. That did happen. They have to expend $100 per square foot in those midterm refurbishments. Also in Terminal 3 is a brand new program. The capital investment was in excess of $20 million. And so once I get back to the office, I can present to you hard numbers, exact numbers, but those capital investments have been made as required per the contract.
Okay, and then my second question is, the rent relief of council passed included a clause to recall employees returned. What is the current status of that requirement?
Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, you are correct, Vice Mayor, that the relief package did include a requirement that they work with their employees, and so we have staff basically verifying when they signed that contract, they committed for the relief that was granted, and we do have staff auditing to ensure that, one, they have to notify us of any federal relief that they receive. And so those elements of the previous council actions, staff is monitoring to ensure that they adhere to it. They have also been notified if they do not adhere to those requirements, then we do have the right to rescind that percentage rent option.
And then my last one is HMS host on? I mean, I do want to ask them, why is it that they have not committed to recalling workers back by seniority as business comes back? I know that SSP did it, and I know that they have recalled some folks back, but they're not committed to doing it in the long run. And I know that SSP has.
So, Madam Chair.
Do we have on the line representatives from HOST or SSP?
Let me check, Councilwoman. I am not sure by the names who they might be.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to hear from SSP and host both, due to the fact that I would like my question answered as to SSP put up their recall back by seniority, but it doesn't show that they recalled anybody.
Right, Madam Chair, yes, we definitely need them on the line, because the report back that we're getting from workers is that they're not recalling them back.
So,
So I would like for them to get on the line and give us a list of how many people they've actually recalled back.
And Charlene, it goes back to your second slide. If you could put that back up. Right there.
there we go. No,
There you go.
there. Okay, can staff contact the HR person at SSP and host? And see if we can get those answers?
Yes,
Or their
Madam-
lobbyists on the phone.
Yeah, lobbyists will work.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, taking a look at speakers for this meeting, we have several of the local business partners. At this time, I do not see a corporate representative of host and/or SSP on the line. What I can do is reach out to them and text them. I'll grab my phone, but I'll be happy to text SSP and host to see if I can get them on the line.
Okay, if you could do that.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yeah, because I was very surprised. I had, through the rumor mill, heard that host had agreed to call back based on seniority. And obviously, that's not true. So I'm very disappointed in them. I think it's very important that they follow that. I agree with the Vice Mayor.
Madam Chair, I know that there are workers ready to speak on public comments. If you wanted to hear from them now, I know that there's some workers.
No, have her call immediately, or you get on the line.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. I have a response from SSP. SSP has recalled 98 employees. And hopefully I will receive a text back from host as well. They do have employees in the terminal. However, from a staff perspective, we are not always made aware of the counts. And so the last report that we did receive, that they recalled 172, but looking for whether or not they will confirm their commitment to recalling based upon seniority. And so I will await their text. Thank you, Madam Chair.
While we're waiting that, thank you. While we're waiting for that, how about we go to the phone calls?
Madam,
Go ahead, Laura.
Charlene, last time we went through this, I don't know, I want to say it 6 months ago. I can't remember. I think July. At that time, host came out with saying that they were going to recall on seniority, and they had several pieces. And so I am shocked right now as to not seeing that on there. That's when the vote went through all the way to December.
Right.
Madam Chair, to Councilwoman Pastor, in preparation for this presentation, staff did reach out to all of our prime concessionaires and specifically asked the question relative to how many employees had they furloughed, how many employees have they retained, and this is the information that we were provided at that time.
Matt, can you call on the people on the phone? We'll take their testimony while we hope
Yes,
they send
Chairwoman.
some information to Shirley.
Certainly. The first individual that we have for item 17 is Gonzalo de la Millennium.
Yes, good morning. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm Gonzalo de la Millennium. I'm a small business owner of cervezas It's a taco shop in Terminal 4 at Sky Harbor. And I want to thank each of you and the aviation staff for your support of the previous rent relief. It kept many of us from filing bankruptcy this past summer. But I wanted to share with you, and evident by the numbers that Charlene presented, we are not out of the woods yet. We are in an all hands on deck mode and survival mode. Let me explain that to you further by touching on 3 key points. You can clearly see there's still a significant supply and demand issue that's not going away anytime soon. As you saw in the report, only 39% of the 136 concessions are currently open for business. And those of us that have reopened, sales are still down greater than 50%. I personally had to close my taco shop for 5 months, and I just recently reopened. And I'm happy to report that I've been able to bring back about 40% of my team members. And as traffic continues to grow, I'll keep bringing back, more of my team back as quickly as possible. The second piece is, during this time, there's been a significant increase in our operating expenses. Us as concessionaires has focused on making our businesses safer for our workers and the traveling public by making investments in personal protective equipment, new sanitization protocols, and new contactless payment equipment. All of these are critical for our employees and our guests to feel comfortable. And the third piece I want to highlight is what I'll call the looming ACDB debt crisis and why we are tied at the hip on this. In order for us to finance these build-outs, banks require collateral. However, the airport leases do not allow for us to collateralize the real estate or the equipment because an airport is considered a public domain. This has 2 major implications to the borrower. A, the cost of our loans have a much higher interest rate, and B, we have to personally guarantee the loans. That means we are personally liable and on the hook. The reason we're tied together at the hip on this is U.S. airports receive over $1 billion in grant funding from the FAA in the form of AIP, Airport Improvement Program. This funding is subject to grant assurances that airports maintain an ongoing ACDB program. So a collapse of the ACDB program may put Sky Harbor in a difficult situation and ultimately our airport's ability to access the tens of millions of dollars of free AIP dollars that Sky Harbor gets on an annual basis. Finally, I want to just the solution. The way to help mitigate this would be a term extension, allow us for a longer payback, to refinance our loans, banking partners. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Matt, do we have another comment?
Yes, we have, I think, about 5 on this item still. Our next speaker is Lachelle Mangum.
Good morning. My name is Lachelle Mangum, and I am president of Lamb Holdings, residing in District 8 and the South Mountain area. And Lamb Holdings operates retail and specialty stores in a joint venture partnership with Stellar Partners. Let me first start by thanking each of you, as well as the rest of the City Council, Mayor Gallego and the City of Phoenix, along with our Aviation Director, Charlene Reynolds, and her staff for all the support that we've received as we navigate our way through some very difficult challenges in our industry. Every one of us is learning how to pivot in order to survive this tough position that we're all facing. And so we come before you today to thank you, but also to ask you for your continued support that we can continue to operate as the #1 airport in the country. Specifically, that is what we're asking for is your support in order to survive this pandemic and the reduction in travel. We need our rent to be set as a standard % of rent for all sales for the next year. Percent of rent will give us all a chance to bring our cost of doing business to a manageable place where we can pay our debts to the bank and start to rise above this very difficult place we all find ourselves in. As you know, many locations remain closed at Sky Harbor. And we know that, if we open some of these businesses, our ability to survive becomes very difficult, and we may not be able to survive with the sheer expense of just doing business. With such a huge reduction in the amount of travel, we cannot compete with our 2019 numbers. And therefore, this fact makes our survival as small businesses very difficult. Our view and our goal is long-term, but we need your help in the short term with percent of rent in order for us to get through 2021 as viable businesses. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your consideration. And I'd also be remiss without congratulating Councilwomen Stark and Gardado for your reelection. Congrats. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next caller.
Our next speaker is Bruce Mosby.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair Williams and subcommittee members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you for a moment. I'm going to kind of shorten my talk because Gonzalo and Lachelle did a great job outlining everything. But I too would like to add my thanks and appreciation to the City Council for the decision they made a few months ago to set our rent at a percentage of sales. That was most helpful. Also, we very much, the ACDBEs, appreciate the grant that we received. These two things together in the short term has helped our survival and also to avoid the unthinkable alternative. Over the past 3 to 6 months, information that we received from TSA, just as Arlene has mentioned, show passenger processing with gradual increases and decreases as measured against 2019 numbers. And these fluctuations that the TSA is seeing also reflect themselves in our sales and the numbers again that Charlene has shared. For my 2 Pete's coffee, my sales fluctuate between 35 and 45% of 2019 numbers. And also without the business traveler, our average check per customer has declined about 20%. And we all report our sales to the airport every Sunday for the previous week, so the airport can stay close to our sales progress. For me and others at the airport, this level of 35 to 45% of 2019 numbers does not spell recovery for us yet. We are still very much in survival mode as we work to just break even and try to not lose money. During this pandemic time, because of the uneven and uncertain nature of air travel, we have been significantly helped by the rent relief that City Council has granted us. And for my businesses and others, we have worked with the banks to help reduce the onerous nature of our debt. So I, like the others, would ask that the council please consider continuing the percent rent, and also extensions of our contracts would help us with refinancing to get through this time. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Chairwoman,
Next caller.
this is Matt. It looks as though some of the folks who signed on for public comment actually meant to comment on this item. So I was going to call on those folks as well, if that's okay with you.
Well, let me check very quickly. Charlene, have we heard from host or SSP?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I have heard from one of host's local business partners who would understand the operations and the employee counts of host being a JV partner. Host has recalled approximately 400 employees out of the 800 based upon seniority, and will continue to do so as sales come back. That's the response that I have. Also, employees are being recalled based upon the collective bargaining agreement. So I continue to try to get a corporate representative from host on a line to verify that. But that is the information I have been provided by one of their local business partners.
Charlene, or Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Charlene, can you identify who that person is? Because we're putting that on record.
I just got a message that they're on the phone.
Okay.
Matt, is that person on the phone?
Let me check with IT.
But Charlene, what you put on the record, you need to read who it is. It's on the record.
Absolutely, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, that would be from Gregory Torres.
Thank you.
Just a moment.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. In order to identify the caller, we actually need a phone number, because that's all the system shows is a phone number. So once we know that, we can figure out which caller it is.
And if you like, I could proceed with the public comment in the meantime.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Tracy Gunderson. Tracy, are you on the line?
Okay, just got a message that SSP's HR director is also on the line. I think it's Loren. You have a name?
I thought we were doing it by numbers, Madam Chair. Matt, do you know? Yeah, I don't. Is it possible that we could just keep going with public comment, and whenever HSSP or where we get to that number, they could speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Just nobody's responding at this point in time. Matt, do we have?
I believe there's still other workers.
Hello.
Hello, who's there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, could you tell us who you are?
Oh, this is Tracy Gunderson.
Okay.
You can hear me? Thank you for allowing me. You've heard from me before. I'm a server for HMS House for over 9 years now. And I'm just hoping that in order to get in this rent relief, to please put in a stipulation that we will have about 2 years to be called back. Right now, it stands that we're going to be, the cutoff date is in March for us. But I don't think that's going to be enough time for all of my coworkers with less seniority to hold their jobs. Doesn't cost host anything or the city of Phoenix, but it's priceless as workers. If you could just have host extend the deadline, would be so much appreciated, and bring a lot of peace to a lot of the families out there that are struggling right now, that are employees of HMS Host.
Did you have a question, Councilwoman?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask which deadline, what deadline? Be very specific.
The deadline, I'm sorry, I didn't, was it not more detailed?
It's fine.
So we've been furloughed since March. Then October 15th, they sent out a letter back in August, and they laid all of us off that were furloughed. So in order to be recalled back, for them to stay in the furlough pool, they're only giving it till March, and then they can start hiring off the street. And we're hoping that they will continue to hire from the furlough, or, the people that have been furloughed for about 2 more years after that, like SSP did. SSP has agreed to do that. We're wanting hosts to do it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I had a question for Tracy.
Is she still on the line?
Is Tracy still on the line?
I'm here.
Tracy, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So we just got a report back from your employer that they just recalled 400 of you guys back to work. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is I've been there almost 10 years and I still haven't been recalled.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And our next speaker is Teresa Dominguez.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair Williams and members of the subcommittee. My
Good
name is
morning.
Teresa. Good morning. My name is Teresa Dominguez, and our business address is 4346 East Elwood Street in Phoenix. The name of my company is Marja 3 Art Inc., and we are an ACDB partner with Parodies Phoenix. First, I want to say thank you so much to the city council members who have given us support since the beginning of this pandemic. We have really appreciated that help that we have received from you. When my husband Frank and I moved to Phoenix in 1995, never did we think that we could play a part in one of the best airports in the United States. We are blessed and fortunate to have had the faith to invest in Frank's retirement savings to be a local ACDBE business partner with Parodies. We've seen the airport grow since 1997, beginning in Terminal 3, where we originally owned an art gallery before becoming an ACDBE partner with Parodies. Since then, Sky Harbor has seen a tremendous transformation where it's been recognized multiple times as an award-winning airport. Most recently, we've been selected by Wall Street Journal as the top airport in the nation. When I speak to people or friends about their travel experience, they all have referred to the best shopping, best food, and best customer service they've received while using Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. It is America's friendliest airport. As a matter of fact, travelers give high Yelp ratings to the restaurants and shops at Phoenix, all provided by some of the most talented and innovative local business partners. The services that we provide have been recognized over and over again on a national basis. People love coming through Phoenix Sky Harbor. We want to keep that high level of service. Moreover, keep the unique Phoenix feel that passengers have experienced before departing and arriving at America's friendliest airport. All of this is not possible without your help. We look at this as a continuation of our partnership with you, and we thank you in advance for considering our request for assistance in helping during this serious downturn in our local airport businesses. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your time, and we ask for your help.
Thank you, Teresa.
Chairwoman, this is Matt. I am told by our IT folks that we have Stephen Douglas from Host on the line, if you would like to call on him next.
Okay. His name is Stephen. You seem to have a little problem on the line.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the council. My name is Stephen Douglas. I am Vice President of Business Development for HMS Host. My understanding is there was a question about how many people we've recalled at Phoenix Sky Harbor. To date, we've recalled 389 employees, and we're doing so in compliance with our collective bargaining agreement, which does require the associates to be called back based on seniority.
And do you plan on continuing that practice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Councilwoman or Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Stephen, so my question is, one of the letters that I saw and that the workers got said that if workers hadn't been recalled by March of next year, then they would be let go and they wouldn't be recalled back once business got back, and that you guys would be hiring from the streets then. Is that true? Or why is I saw the letter?
Yes, ma'am. The letter was sent out in accordance with the Warren Act, and my understanding is that we are calling back based on seniority, and we'll continue to do so.
I know, but my question is, are you going to retract that from saying that if by March, if an HMS Host worker has not been recalled by March of 2021, then does that mean what their understanding is, and my understanding from seeing that letter is that they'll be terminated at that point. Is that true? Is that what you're planning to do?
I know that we are planning to call back based on seniority. As far as what happens at that date, my understanding is, look, our associates are the lifeblood of our business, and the associates that are trained are of significant value to us. So there's we obviously would want to bring back our trained associates, to the best of our ability as business comes back.
Right, so how do you send them a letter saying that if they're not recalled by March, then they're terminated? I agree with you. I think they are. Yeah, I think they are the backbone of that airport, right? Especially workers that have been there for 30 to 40 years. I cannot imagine being one of them and receiving that letter and thinking that in March, they're going to have to go get a new job.
Yes, ma'am. Again, I believe the letter was sent in accordance with the Warren Act, and to be in compliance with the Warren Act. Again, it's the intention to bring back as many associates as we can as the business supports it.
Okay, but just to be clear, as of March, whoever is not recalled back, then they should be considered fired.
Again, my understanding is that the Warren Act, it went from a furlough status to a layoff status is my understanding. And that I guess under the terms of the collective bargaining agreement, the March date is a date that's part of the collective bargaining agreement. We're going to continue to comply with the collective bargaining agreement. We're going to continue to hire our associates back as quickly as we can based on business, and we're going to continue to do it based on the seniority.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Hi. I understand that it is required under the Warren Act, but what we're trying to look at is that SSP is recall letter, or the letter that was sent by SSP is to 2020, and host is in March 2021. So I think the question that Vice Mayor is asking is the March letter is 2021. Is it possible to extend it to 2022? Like SSP has.
Right, and what I can tell you right now is we do intend to hire people back to the best of our ability based on seniority. As far as the specific dates, I can tell you we will comply with our collective bargaining agreement. And if the collective bargaining agreement is modified or adjusted to reflect that, absolutely we would do that.
Okay, I'm not sure how SSP did it with their collective bargaining agreement, but I think you need to look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think it would be helpful if you could get something in writing to the council stating that you're going to make that change. This will be a topic of discussion next month, probably setting the rate for as of January 1st. So I think it's very important that we have a very clear picture of your intent.
Understood, Madam Chair and members of the council.
Chairwoman, I have another question or just a comment for Steve.
Okay, go ahead.
So Steve, I know that you guys could do better as HMS host. I've as you might remember, like I was the organizer at the airport for a very long time, and it was always like there were moments where we had a good relationship, moments where it was a little challenging. And right now, like I'm hoping, that HMS will step up to the plate the same way that SSP did and sign that letter. I know that it's something that's possible that can be done. I know that you guys can make that commitment to not fire folks in March. I know that you and together with other folks can make that happen. And, I want to be able to support you guys, but for me, my heart is always going to be with the workers, especially with this pandemic and the COVID rising here in Arizona. Those workers really need you guys to do the best that you guys can do, and I know that you guys can do better, and I'm pretty sure that you guys will, but I really need you guys to do that. And you guys have the same bargaining agreement as SSP. And I'm sure there's a way that you can make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment, Vice Mayor.
Okay, thank you for calling in, Stephen. If you could follow through.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Matt, I think we have SSP still waiting.
Just a moment, Chairwoman. Let me check with IT.
It's 480-772-6007.
Yes, I believe they are on the line.
Okay, could we have them come on? And they could give us the numbers that we're missing.
Who was it that we were going to hear from SSP?
Lucerne?
Loren.
Leanne? It's the Human Resource Director.
Loren.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. And I'm sorry I goofed your name up.
That's okay, Madam Chair. Members of the council, my name is Leanne Jacobs. I'm the HR business partner for SSP America. I'm here to clarify the total headcount of recalled employees, as well as answer any other questions you may have. I can say that as of today, we are at 134 recalled associates operating in the airport. I'm available for any questions.
And you're recalling by seniority?
Yes, Madam Chair. We've been recalling by strictly seniority since the beginning of the recall process.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pastor?
Yes, my question is, I know that you also had to give letters to the Warren Act, but my understanding is the furlough date is to 2022.
Councilwoman Pastor, we sent the Warren letters before a reduction of force was executed. Now that that's been done, we have extended recall rights for 2 years.
Okay, meaning to you recall extension to 2022, am I correct?
24 months from November of 2020.
Okay, yeah, so November 2022. I think yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question. You just worked with the groups through the collective bargaining, or how did you just presented it that way?
Members of the subcommittee, we engaged in negotiation process with Unite Here Local 11, and through the negotiation process, we agreed upon a memorandum of understanding to outline how we would proceed through the pandemic and the recall process, as well as reopening our operations inside the airport.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any more questions for her? I just want to thank you for calling in so quickly and responding. I know you hadn't planned on calling this morning, but we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Thank you all for your time.
Vice Mayor has a question, I think.
No, I just had a comment. So, Lauren, thank you for calling in and hoping as one of the primes that you guys are helping lead the way a little bit here. Hopefully, you can get your counterpart or HMS host to do the same thing. But thank you so much for what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Goodbye. Matt, do we have another caller?
Yes, and I was also informed that we have Daryl Benton, who's with host as well, if you wish to call on him.
Well, let's call on him next. I think his response is very important.
Mr. Benton, are
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Daryl? Daryl, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Look, I just want to call, I've been on the call. This is Daryl Benton, Executive Vice President, Business Development for Host. And as Councilwoman Betty has indicated, yes, we do have a collective bargaining agreement. And yes, we are calling back our associates in seniority. And I do understand that our collective bargaining agreement is not identical to SSP. These are all separate negotiated agreements. And regarding the extended callback for another year, I will get with our collective bargaining team. I did not want to leave Steve Douglas, our vice president, out there by himself, but I did not want to, try Councilwoman Guardado to go outside of the bounds of the collective bargaining agreement on this call, but I will get back to you all with that exception that I think my colleagues at SSP indicated that they have extended their callback, and I will get with my team to try to get you all back that answer. But I know this is an important issue, Betty. When I talked with you, the Councilwoman Betty, I'm sorry, that I know it's important to you. It is very important to us. As I think indicated, we've called back 389 of our 800 associates. As you can imagine, we have associates, I think one spoke with 10 plus years of service. It is in our best interest to get them back to work. I'm not an expert on WARN notices, but yes, they had to go out so you didn't keep the associate, what I would consider hanging on that their job was there in case they needed to go and seek other employment. But as you can imagine, we want and need experienced associates coming back to work, but nor do we want to keep associates out of the job market when employments remain, 40, 60% down. But I will get you back a formal answer back on the extended callback, but I did not want to leave a false impression that we would, could get outside the boundaries of the collective bargaining agreement in this public forum. But I understand your question and request.
I will tell you, I think it is extremely important that you get a letter and have it to us before December 1st, stating that you are agreeing to extend the callback by seniority, the same as SSP. It is very important to not only this subcommittee, but I believe the entire council and to our community. And this is a very top priority before we can consider even renegotiating rent. So thank you.
And you're so welcome. And I will do my best.
Okay. Councilman Pastor?
I had a meeting with Host, and I just wasn't aware that I thought everything was set into play. I wasn't aware that from the locals there wasn't an agreement, and so it would behoove you to take the advice of Chairwoman Williams to be able to match SSP's agreement, because this will be a hot topic in December.
Councilwoman Pastor, I understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much for calling in and explaining what's going on. We appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
I have a comment. Yes. Well, thank you so much for calling in and clearing this up with us. I know that you and I had a conversation. I can't remember anymore. Maybe 2 months ago. And yes, and thank you for hoping that you can produce that letter. It is like Councilwoman Pastor said, and our chair also said, this is going to be a hot topic in December. And I know that we all want to make sure that we put our employees first, and that we make sure that our airport continues to thrive. Like we all love our airport, and we want to make sure that it continues to thrive, and that we want to continue to support our small businesses and our primes. But we're really gonna need that from you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. by. Matt, do we have another caller?
Yes, ma'am, we do actually. We have several. Our next speaker is Joya Kaiser Clark.
Okay. Hello.
Good morning.
We can hear you fine.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The ACDBE program was created to bring small, gender, or ethnic minority-owned businesses into the airport. My family's company, Casa Unlimited Enterprises, is proud to have been part of this nationally recognized program here in Phoenix from the start. I'm Joya Kaiser, a second-generation woman and minority-owned airport concessionaire. My request today is for continued percentage rent only so that my fellow small businesses and I can remain viable. Without your critical support in this matter, we are in a hopeless situation. Attributable to your previous vote on MAG abatement, we were able to reopen some of our units after being closed for 6 months. It is only because of the release of the minimum guaranteed rent that we are surviving right now. Thank you for that. In the 6 weeks since we have been reopened, we are finding that the business, which we have excelled at for 30 years, is a completely new world to us. Flight schedules are inconsistent. We're having month-over-month loss in perishable inventory due to the reduction in passengers, and specifically the loss of the business traveler. We are operating with about half of our pre-COVID team members. We watch our sales daily, desperately searching for signs that we have enough stability to bring more team members back. So I'm really here to ask for help on behalf of the people who make my business function, my employees, some of which have been with me for decades, all of which are dependent on me for jobs. Only with your help can we be sustainable. Minimum guaranteed rent continues to be the literal make or break point for us. I thank you so much for your continued assistance and your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there. Our next caller is...
Our next speaker is Christine Miller.
Christine, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christine Miller. I'm a lead organizer for Unite Here Local 11. We are here today because you have heard a report about concessions at the airport, which has included a lengthy discussion about HMS Host. I also want to start by just saying thank you so much to all the council members for your support so far in this meeting. HMS Host is the largest concessionaire in Phoenix's award-winning airport and is the largest operator of airport concessions in North America. Its parent company, Autogrill, is owned by a family of Italian multi-billionaires whose holding corporation had assets valued at $13.8 billion last year and increased its cash balance by an estimated 60% in the first 6 months of this year. HMS Host, as you all know and have been talking about, has also received relief from the city of Phoenix worth millions of dollars. And yet, as of October 15th of 2020, HMS has declared that it is carrying out what it has called a permanent layoff of hundreds of airport workers. Imagine that. A billionaire company, HMS Host, gets bailed out by the city of Phoenix and other government bodies, and with stipulations that you all wanted recall, and mere months later carries out what it calls a permanent layoff of hundreds of workers. Now, because we have a union contract, most Host workers in Phoenix are protected by recall rights up until March of 2021. But our question is, what happens after that? As of now, HMS Host is refusing to extend recall rights beyond that, even after getting the first round of relief from the city of Phoenix. As many of you have already said in this meeting, it's just plain wrong. So we are here. Can I keep going, or am I?
Your time is up.
Okay.
But I don't know if you've been listening to the conversation, but we have had hosts on the phone, and they are promising that they're going to extend those recall rights. So
Yes, I
We're
have.
going to be talking to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for your support so far, Zelda, in this meeting, and Councilwoman Betty Guardado and Councilwoman Laura Pastor. We appreciate it so incredibly much.
So I look forward to hearing back that there's been a change. Thank you.
Our next,
Matt, who's next?
our next speaker is Douglas Marmol.
Douglas, are you there? Douglas?
Yes, one second.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yes, okay. Good morning. My name is Douglas Marmol. I have worked as a cook for HMS Host in Los Angeles, LAX in Los Angeles for 24 years. And I believe the world needs to know how HMS Host is treating us. I am 54 years old and I'm diabetic. And I was extremely disappointed to learn that this company that I have worked for 24 years terminated health insurance for laid off workers in Phoenix over the summer. This is shameful. On top of that, as you have heard several weeks ago, workers at LAX filed a class action lawsuit in California Superior Court against HMS Host, alleging that the company failed to pay us everything we are owed when we got laid off earlier this year. We are in a global pandemic. Business is down. No one knows when business will pick up, but still I'm laid off through no fault of my own. None of us caused this pandemic. We have given years to this company. We have worked hard for this company, and this is how they have treated during this pandemic. While HMS Host has received relief from the city of Phoenix and other government entities, laid off workers have been struggled to survive, and the company that owns HMS Host is just sitting on hundreds of millions and billions of dollars and holding hands out for more help. It is shameful. I ask you the same thing that we asked the city of Los Angeles. Please do not give HMS Host any more relief money. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in. Matt, do we have more?
Yes, our next speaker is Lourdes Perez Silva.
Thank you. Hello?
Can you hear me? Hi, good morning. My name is Lourdes Perez Silva, and I've been a server for HMS Host for over 30 years. I'm also a proud leader at HER, and Unite here, HERE, and I'm joining my brothers and sisters here in Phoenix to say, do not give Host any more relief money. Host workers have been treated very poorly by this company, and we're all in this together. Several weeks ago, I and other HMS Host workers at LAX filed an action lawsuit in California Superior Court against HMS Host, alleging that the company failed to pay us everything we're owed. After LAX living wages went up in 2018, my coworkers and I noticed that we weren't getting paid the airport's minimum wage of $13.75. It looked like Host was shorting us about 50 cents for each hour that we worked. We brought this to the attention of the company, and in July of last year, we testified at LAWA, and in fall, we still hadn't received the money, the payback money, so we filed a formal complaint with the city. 50 cents an hour may not seem like a lot to you, but it's unused vacation pay. It's money that we could use for food. It's money that we can use for gas. It's money that we can use for shelter. The money means the difference between hope and hopelessness. HMS Host has received relief from the city and from government entitlements. Laid off workers have been struggling to survive. We need corporate leaders that don't take advantage of the workers and the crisis. I urge you not to give Host another penny for bailout. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Matt?
Our next speaker is Ibado Mahmoud.
Okay. Hello, are you on the line?
The line?
Hello,
my
we
name
can hear you.
My name is Ibada Mahmoud. I worked for HMS Host for 20 years, and they called me back on May when I was had an accident and very ill, and I tell them that I'm very sick, and then I get the letter that they say October 15th we're not gonna have no more job if we don't come back, and I'm not sure if I have. Nobody called me after that, and I have not sure if I have a job or not have a job. I'm living in worry. Am I gonna have a future to go back? Or I might not have a job. Um, where I can't even go to the doctor because they cut the medical. They're not paying the medical, and I have no clue when city paying all this money, why the employee doesn't have a then medical cover. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can only listen at this point.
And I want to know what city can do with that supporting an HMS policy on multi-billion-dollar company who even doesn't take care of his own employee to their needs and have respect the employee that work 30 years or 35 years or 25 years and not care for them life. Supporting is still an HMS policy.
Thank you for calling.
Our next,
Matt?
oh, pardon me, Chairwoman. Our next speaker is Carmen Quintana.
Okay, thank you. Carmen, are you on the line?
Yes. Aló, mi nombre es Carmen Quintana. Yo trabajo para HMS por 33 años. Hace 7 meses ellos nos descansaron y nos quitaron la aseguranza médica. Nos mandaron una carta que si no nos llamaban para
Carmen,
el 15 de
Carmen, ¿puedes esperar tantito? Chair, is there someone to translate or?
Carlos, do we have someone?
I do not believe that we have a Spanish interpreter
If
here
not,
today.
I can translate as well.
Okay.
So Carmen said, hello, my name is Carmen. I've worked for HMS Host for 33 years, and I was laid off, and I received a letter in the mail saying that I was going to be permanently laid off.
Y yo quiero saber lo que va a pasar con nosotros. Gracias por su ayuda.
And I want to know what is going to happen to us. And thank you so much for your support.
You're very welcome. Laurel? Matt, do we have another?
I think we have one more speaker on this item, Vivian Lavely.
Okay. Hello, are you on the line?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
I am
morning.
so sorry for earlier today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you so much again for your support thus far. I did listen very clearly. I see we did have some developments in regards to host extending the recall rights, so I'll put that part of my speech aside. I did want to point out and ask what we can do to discuss the seniority part of the recall. I know that hosts is stating that they've recalled 400 plus people at this point, which is amazing, and I'm glad to hear that. A lot of those people so far that I know of is salary management. And as Carmen said, as far as I know, she is our highest seniority person at 33 years. I myself have been working there for 7 years, and we haven't been recalled, but people that I personally trained when they first started are already recalled. We have people who have barely been working there comparatively to our sandwich ladies that have not been recalled yet. The seniority, it's host is broken up into different categories of title, and their seniority varies in that area. But it seems like they're picking and choosing which titles they recall. Our bakery ranges from 1 to 10 years experience, and they haven't even begun to open our bakery. So we are missing a lot of clarification on what exactly they mean when they are calling by seniority. And in addition to the lack of extension as of today, and we will see where that further goes. But again, I appreciate you guys listening to us and hearing everything we had to say. And I really look forward to seeing what changes we can make so that everyone can get their job back that wants to go back.
Thank you very much for calling in. That's the end of our speakers.
For this item, yes, Chairwoman, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will tell you from my perspective, this is not a council or a subcommittee that you want to play games with. I think it's very important that people have listened and follow through on what they have said they will do in a very timely fashion. Vice Mayor, did you have a comment?
Yes, I did. Well, thank you so much, Chairwoman Delda Williams, for all of your support on this, and Councilwoman Pastor. Yes, this is something that's very important to all of us on the council. I think that, like I said, as much as we want to make sure that our airport continues to thrive, we want to make sure that we are also taking our workers that have helped this. Let's remember that our airport was rated the tastiest airport in the country, and that's because of all of these workers. And we cannot forget that as we're moving forward. And we want to make sure that our small businesses, that our primes, that everyone is able to get back on their feet. I want to make sure that I can be in a place where I can support this come December. I hope that HMS Host does the right thing and that we get that letter and that we're able to move forward, and that everyone can have some peace of mind by the end of the year of where their jobs are going to be at, and that these businesses are also going to thrive. So thank you so much to everyone on this subcommittee, and looking forward to our meeting in December. Thank you so much, Chair.
You're very welcome. I think we will now go on to item
Chairwoman.
18.
Chairwoman,
Yes.
my apologies. IT let me know that it looks like there are 2 people signed up who may have been for this item as well that are on the line.
They're on the line?
I believe so.
And Madam Chair, this is Deborah. I'm having a hard time hearing anything, so I'm going to sign off and then sign back on. I apologize. I don't know what's wrong with my sound.
Okay.
So I will be back on hopefully in a couple seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, when she gets back on, we will go ahead with the callers.
Yes,
I want to give
Chairwoman.
everyone an opportunity. Can you tell me when she's back on?
Yes, Chairwoman. Oh, I believe she just signed back on.
Okay, then our next caller, please.
Our next speaker is Hewitt Kidani.
Okay. Hello? Are you on? We can. Are you on the
Hello?
line?
Yes.
Hi, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Hiwat Kidane. I work in HMS Hospital 14 years until March. Now they lay off the last in April. Since they send it for me, email the paper. I followed up before was my position. Still now no call, no show. I am even enough money. They have open monthly 240. It can't enough. You have job. I'm ready for the job. You don't have job. I need more money. I'm about this one. I'm waiting. It can't enough 200.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And our last speaker is Mercedes Tamere.
Hello, are you on? Hello? Are you on? Are they still on the line?
Let me check 1 second, Chairwoman. I believe that they were also signed up on the same number as Hewitt, so. Oh, I'm sorry, they did just drop.
Okay. End of the conversation on this item. We will go to item 18, which is the climate action planning update.
Yes, Madam Chair. Deputy City Manager Karen
Thank you,
Peters.
Charlene.
Karen Peters is here, along with Nancy Allen from the Environmental Programs and Mark Hartman, Chief Sustainability Officer, to present on the Climate Action Plan.
Right, good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Karen Peters. Here with me, as Mario indicated, are Nancy Allen, our Environmental Programs Administrator, and our Chief Sustainability Officer, Mark Hartman. We will be as brief as we can, but we do want to give you some really interesting and good news about where we are with climate action planning. I want to acknowledge the hard work of many, many city staff to put this framework together, but most notably in the Environmental Programs Office, Matthew Potzler, Roseanne Albright, and Katrina Gerster. So this framework is the most recent milestone in our climate action journey. We've made significant progress, but have big challenges ahead to achieve our goals. There's no action on this item today. We're here for information and discussion as we initiate community input and do the analysis that we need to present a plan next spring. So in preparation for the framework, staff did an online survey to gauge community interest this summer. As you can see, we received 865 responses. When we asked them how concerned they are about climate-related hazards, 75% responded that they are extremely concerned about extreme heat, prolonged drought, and poor air quality. So what this tells us is that while it is vital to do our part to reduce carbon emissions and be part of the solution to climate change, it is perhaps even more important to act now to adapt and become more resilient to the impacts we are experiencing today and be prepared to thrive in a hotter and drier future. As we'll discuss, Phoenix has been working on climate action for over a decade. If you had a chance to look at attachment 1 to the framework, you'll see that we've been doing quite a lot. That summarizes actions taken already. In recognition of this work, the city was invited to join the C40 Cities Climate Action Leadership Group, or Climate Leadership Group, which is a global network, 96 major cities committed to bold climate action and achieving the goals of the Paris Climate Accord. Membership in C40 comes at no cost to the city, but brings significant benefits, including technical support for the climate action planning that we're describing today. Were the city to procure this kind of support on its own, it would require tens of thousands of dollars not currently budgeted. So just a snapshot of where we've been, beginning in 2009 to the present. We've done numerous greenhouse gas inventories. The first one was for our city operations only, conducted in 2009 for the baseline year of 2005. And then we continue to do them for the years 2012, 2014, 2016, and most recently, 2018. During that time, as I said, we've taken a lot of actions. We've made significant progress. The council set some ambitious goals for us along the way, and we're happy to say that we did meet our goal that the council established of reducing city operations emissions by 15% from the 2005 baseline. So good work on the part of all the city departments involved. At this time, I'm going to ask Nancy Allen to take it from here and talk through the framework.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and members of the subcommittee. So Karen has set me up quite well for this. So she was talking about the work that the city had done for our city inventories. Our framework document that you have now is looking at our community inventories. And our community is broken up into three sections: stationary energy, transportation, and waste. And so the stationary energy section is dealing with the electricity that we get off the grid. And we expect that emissions associated with electricity generation will be going down in the future as our electricity providers are decarbonizing their grids. The next one is transportation. That one is going to be a challenge for us here in the Valley because we are a wide open city and everyone's got a car. So transportation emissions will need to be dealt with at some point in the future. It is not only a greenhouse gas, but it is also contributing to our air quality. We have been talking with a number of regional partners in this, including the county and MAG, and some of our sister cities as well. And there are a great number of solutions that we could enact to deal with some of our transportation emissions. Waste is the third section, and that has to do with mostly methane and other greenhouse gas releasing from landfills and composition of waste. So this graph here is one that is quite remarkable because what this is showing from our community greenhouse gas inventories from 2012 to 2018 is that the city of Phoenix, for the community, has had a per capita decrease in greenhouse gas emissions while at the same time having a 12% population increase and a 26% expansion of our economy. And so that is quite remarkable that we can have that type of growth and at the same time be reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. So Karen also alluded to the way that we were planning and going about looking at our climate actions. So our departments all were generous enough to appoint a climate liaison. And these folks, with other folks within their departments, worked with my office and with Mark's office. We also have been working with the community. We have had 2 community workshops to date, and we have additional ones planned in the future. All of this is going into a hopper, and with that, we're going to end up with some climate actions that are related to mitigation and others that are related to adaptation. And so with the mitigation actions, those are going to be really focused on emission reductions associated with those 3 sectors that we talked about: energy, transportation, and waste. Adaptation is really our resiliency goals. So those are things: improving air quality, strengthening our local food systems, working on living with extreme heat and getting our urban heat island decreased so it's not quite as hot here, and then also dealing with drought and our water supply. So I'll turn it over to Mark now and let him talk about the actual framework that you guys have.
Well, thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Yes, I get the pleasure of announcing that we've officially unveiled this framework online and allowing for public input. It actually represents goals for each of the sectors, our long-term 2050 goals. It's called a framework because it's really articulating what are the past, present, and potential future actions we might take to way to 2050. And probably you can hear me much better now. So hopefully you caught that little bit of introduction as it being online. But for us, I wanted to say about, the one thing that assembled as we brought these together from the 28 departments, probably the most astonishing observation is that how all the departments and actions work together and having them all in one place in a single plan that shows us the pathway to 2050. And so the quick start actions are things that we're doing between now and 2025, and then as well as highlighting the key things that we've done that already put us on this pathway to 2050. And the other thing I wanted to highlight is that, as we do this outreach to the Community and Climate Change Action Plan, one of the things that the mayor actually asked the Environmental Quality and Sustainability Commission, the EQSC, to actually approach businesses and do some outreach to the business community and really ask for their input on the plan the framework as it had been so far, and as well as what they would like to see in the plan. And we have some, they've done a great job in outreaching not just the large sector, but small businesses, nonprofits, and other organizations throughout the city, and engaging them and asking them for their input of really what they'd like to see in this plan. And we hope to continue to engage them. And there's quotes here from, a few of the organizations, but we will have a whole collection of those by the time this climate action plan is released next spring. And so about the agenda, I'll hand it back to Nancy to talk about the next steps.
So with the next steps, I don't want you to think that word final at the bottom, final plan. This plan will be, once developed, will be continually updated, reviewed, and revised. Getting there, we do want to hear from the public. So like Mark said, the framework is posted out on our website right now. There is a survey type comment tool that folks can comment on the plan, or they can use the email address climate@phoenix.gov to comment on the plan. As mentioned earlier, we have had a couple of workshops. We are planning another climate framework workshop that will be held on December 3rd. And then in January, we expect to have additional, more in-depth, longer workshops dealing with the actual plan itself. These may be very topic focused. We may have one specific to water, specific to transportation, and those will probably be several hours long. And right now, they will be virtual. When we get those scheduled, we will be communicating that out via social media and our website, and we will be sending notices to your offices as well. Speaking of notices sent out, we are quite pleased that the communications office was able to get this out on their Nextdoor app, and as of yesterday, we had over 52,000 impressions for our climate action framework. We expect to get the plan together and put it out for public comment next summer and bring that back before you in the fall for recommendation for full council approval later next year. And so with that, if you have any questions for us, we would be happy to answer.
Do we have any questions? I will have to make the comment that is the heaviest report I've had in a long time. It must have weighed 10 pounds in the packet. So I know you've been working hard. Thank you. Okay. I hear no questions. I look forward to the final document. I won't be around, but I'm going to pay attention.
Chairwoman,
Thank you very much.
This is Matt. It looks as though we have a few members of the public wishing to comment on this item.
Oh, okay. Could you go ahead and start the calls?
Yes, so our first speaker is Alana Langdon.
Hello?
Thank you, Matt. Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. My name is Alana Langdon. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Alana Langdon. I'm the Senior Manager of External Affairs and Public Policy at Nikola Corporation. Some of my comments today will be in reference to our letter of support that we submitted on October 23rd. Nikola is incredibly proud to be here in Arizona and Phoenix, and very pleased to see and support the city's efforts to decarbonize our community. Nikola Corporation is headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona at 4141 East Broadway Road. We are a technology disruptor and integrator working to develop innovative energy and transportation solutions, specifically zero emission, heavy duty trucks and hydrogen infrastructure. Since locating to Arizona, we have created just over 500 jobs to date. When we were located to Arizona in 2018, the company had 40 jobs, and so therefore we've increased those net new jobs by approximately 90% since 2018. The median salary range of these professional careers, inclusive of engineers, software and hardware developers, modelers and designers, etc., range between 75 to 150,000. We are also in the middle of developing a manufacturing facility in Coolidge. And as that moves forward, we will be creating an additional 1,000 jobs with priority recruiting for material handlers, assemblers, technicians, and the skilled trades. Specifically to this report, we wanted to provide some additional comments for consideration as this moves forward through the process. Specific to the city considering and recognizing the impact of medium and heavy duty vehicles on the carbon emissions footprint in addition to the light duty vehicles, especially on the disproportionate effect on disadvantaged communities in our city. So in addition to the reduction of the carbon footprint of medium and heavy duty vehicles, we encourage the deployment and adoption of zero emission medium and heavy duty vehicles and infrastructure, and also the consideration of hydrogen for power generation and energy storage and microgrid applications for the city's future operations. Thank you very much for all you're doing.
Thank you very much for calling in and your cooperation. Matt, the next caller, please.
Our next speaker is Michael Denby.
Okay. Michael, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Very good. Madam Chair, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council, my name is Michael Denby, and I am a Senior Policy Advisor for the newly minted Sustainability Group at Arizona Public Service. Let me begin by thanking you all for this opportunity to speak. APS is very pleased to support the City of Phoenix Climate Action Plan. On October 23rd, Ann Becker, the Vice President of Sustainability at APS, submitted a letter to Mayor Gallego outlining in detail our support for the city's Climate Action Plan. I'll use my limited time here today to briefly touch upon a few of the highlights from that letter, and in the meantime, encourage the council members and everyone else to read that letter. The first thing I'd like to highlight is how proud APS is that Phoenix was selected for membership to the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group. The challenges we face are global, but our actions must start at the local level. Phoenix's place in the C40 will provide extremely valuable footing for the city and our customers and community. Next, I would like to highlight the memorandum of understanding between the city and APS that the City Council approved at the end of last month. This MOU is incredibly important for both of us as we collaborate in the areas of clean energy, improving air quality, reducing harmful emissions, sustainability, and climate action. As an energy provider, APS will play a major role in helping the city meet its stationary energy sector targets. The city has set a goal to obtain electricity from electrical grid that is net zero by 2050. This goal aligns very well with APS's clean energy commitment that we announced at the beginning of this year. Pursuant to our clean energy commitment, APS is committed to end all coal-fired generation by 2031, which is 7 years sooner than previously projected. And by 2050, APS will provide 100% clean, carbon-free electricity to all its customers, including the city of Phoenix. So the city can be certain that APS power that the city relies upon and their residents use for home and businesses will not be just net zero, but rather 100% carbon-free, helping the city meet its CAP commitments. As I mentioned before, our support and partnership doesn't end with the city's stationary energy targets. There are a lot of other initiatives that align with our goals, and they are set forth in that letter. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide some comments to you. Thank you.
And our next speaker is Elisa Lyons.
Good morning, members of the subcommittee. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go
Thank
ahead.
you very much, Madam Chair. My name is Elisa Lyons. I represent Valley Partnership. Valley Partnership is proud to have been a close partner with the city for many, many years on issues that affect the well-being of citizens and business throughout the city. And I just want to thank you very much for the opportunity to have reviewed the city's climate action plan framework. I sent an email yesterday to the subcommittee and CC'd staff so everyone was in the loop. There are some elements that we are very interested in and others that we're looking to gain clarity on. I'm delighted that yesterday the email that I sent prompted a call from your fearless Nancy Allen, who called me to help me to begin to understand some of the terms that are in the plan that perhaps aren't widely known, and to help me better understand how Valley Partnership and other development partners can continue to be a part of the stakeholder process as you move forward to bring this framework into policy creation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Do we have another caller, Matt?
Yes, our next speaker is Colin Tetrault.
Okay.
Madam Chair, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the subcommittee. My name is Colin Tetrault, and I'm honored to serve you and the residents of Phoenix as the chair of the city's Environmental Quality and Sustainability Commission. I'd like to thank each of you for your consideration and review of the draft framework of the Climate Action Plan. I am proud that the City of Phoenix is advancing this. A robust climate action plan is not just a document, but a dynamic and living strategy that will guide the city forward. Embracing sustainability will protect our environment, advance the well-being of all Phoenicians, and accelerate our economy. Climate change has and will continue to impact Phoenix, increasing urban heat island, decreasing air quality, lack of shade, increasing water scarcity, and growing food deserts are but a few of the serious issues that Phoenix faces now and will continue to face. In particular, climate change disproportionately impacts our lower income, minority, and aging communities, making this not just an environmental quality issue, but a social justice and equity concern. A climate action plan will help empower and advance these communities. We have an opportunity to build a current and future city that values all persons. And when we build a sustainable city, we empower happier neighborhoods and healthier residents. Additionally, as the city looks to further its economic competitiveness, proactively addressing climate change is the bar for a 21st century region. The CAP will help attract, develop, and retain businesses ranging from top-line Fortune 500s to innovation-driven startups and small businesses. Every one of our top regional employers embeds sustainability as a key strategy already in their organization. By the city setting the conditions of success with the Climate Action Plan, things like renewable energy, sustainable transportation, furthering the circular economy is just a few, we can actually create a significant opportunity for everyone. A robust CAP is an integral piece to ensuring Phoenix remains economically competitive, has socially just and healthy communities, and remains as beautiful as I know we all believe it to be. I want to thank each of you for your consideration and review of this framework. I'm excited to partner with you and our community to make this even more considerate, visionary, and impactful. And I believe that this will not only propel Phoenix, but the entire region and state. And personally, Madam Chair, thank you for your years of leadership and partnership on this as well. I yield the balance of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin, and thank you for your service to the city of Phoenix. You've done a lot over the years to help us and continue to do so. Do we have another call?
Yes, Chairwoman Jeannie Weir.
Do we have anybody on the line?
IT tells me they're not receiving audio from her, unfortunately.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Linda Brady.
Okay. Hello, are you there? Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Linda Brady. I work in local government relations and I'm here representing SRP. I'll start out by saying that SRP thanks Mayor Gallego, the Phoenix City Council, and city staff for wanting to work with its many partners on an issue that they recognize is much larger than the city itself. For many of us, including the city, we often get asked, what are we each doing to respond to climate change? And it's nothing that each city, organization, or individual can do alone. It's a team effort. Like the city, SRP continues to implement new approaches that now and in the future effectively reduce our environmental impact and also benefit our customers and the people of Arizona. In response to climate change, many of SRP's goals and the city's goals are aligned. For example, we both want to reduce emissions and ensure that we have a reliable and resilient water supply. We both want to lead in innovation and technology research that addresses climate change. We want to help our customers and constituents achieve their clean energy goals. And lastly, we want to both improve existing infrastructure to provide greater flexibility for managing water supplies and improving the reliability of the energy grid. SRP does appreciate having a seat at the table because it's critical for us to address all the risks, including climate change, that impact our ability to provide a safe, reliable, and affordable supply of water and power. SRP and the city have always been great partners, and we envision that partnership growing even stronger over time as both of our organizations pursue our complementary goals toward climate change that can leverage our successes. SRP is pleased to support the efforts of the 2020 Climate Action Plan, and I thank you very much for your time.
And thank you, SRP, for being a partner with the city for many, many years. Matt, do we have any more?
That was the final speaker on that item. We do have one member of the public for public comment when we get there.
Okay, I think we are there.
Okay, Chairwoman. Dan Weeks is our speaker.
Thank you, staff.
Good morning, Madam Chair and subcommittee members, and congratulations, Madam Vice Mayor, on your reelection as well. My name is Dan Weeks, and I'm the Public Information Officer for a nonprofit agency in the Valley called Companion Pets in Crisis, or CPIC for short. When a life-altering event like a house fire happens, most people are not prepared, and it can be devastating both emotionally and financially. Feeling overwhelmed in such a crisis can cause pet owners to feel like they have no other option but to surrender their pets to an overcrowded kill shelter or take other devastating action. So Companion Pets in Crisis was founded on the principle that nobody should ever be faced with that decision. So imagine returning home to find that your house is surrounded by fire engines and your house is on fire because an electrical fire broke out, but your dog and your cat are still inside. A few years ago, you would be on your own to take care of your animals, find the cat, and then deal with the aftermath. But fortunately, Lisa Martin was a crisis responder for the City of Phoenix Fire Department and decided to bridge the gap and fill the critical void between human care from the fire department and pet care, which was non-existent at the time. So Lisa founded Companion Pets in Crisis, which is a first response agency for pets, similar to a fire department's crisis response unit. When CPIC gets activated by a partner agency like a local fire department or the American Red Cross when there's a 911 crisis call involving pets, a response team is immediately deployed to the scene, and our trained responders can provide on-scene emotional support, search and rescue services, loss of life care and services, pet food, pet supplies, and even emergency temporary shelter in certain cases. So all of this is volunteer-based and expensive, but entirely donation-driven. So today during the subcommittee meeting about critical infrastructure innovation, I wanted to introduce this topic to the council and make you aware of this fairly new emergency response service in the Valley. It helps with brainstorming with your offices for new methods in which to fund operations, as well as to further educate the public about fire and pet safety. So since this is just the initial comment session with no discourse, I thank you for your time, and I'll reach out to your offices individually.
Thank you very much. It sounds like a very needed service and really appreciate it. Thank you. Matt, is that the end?
Yes, ma'am, that is.
Okay. Subcommittee members, do you have any future agenda items you want to be heard? Okay, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all for participating.